Hello and welcome to the online writing log. Today I want to walk you through the challenges feature and explain how it works. The challenges are intended for you and a bunch of friends that you want to set a common goal with. You want to challenge yourself to write a certain amount of words or spend a certain amount of time editing or whatever it may be for a particular month. And so what I want to do today is walk you through how to set one of those up and show you how it works. The new challenge, just click on the plus sign down here and you fill in the details. So we'll call this a test challenge, and challenge details can be whatever you want to write about your challenge, how you want to describe it. This challenge is for 500 words per day or something like that, and then you just pick the period, the month and the year, and here we're going to select the type of activity that we're going to do, and it's going to be writing in this case. Word count would be the thresholds or the target basically that we want to get to, and for a month with 30 days, 500 words per day is 15,000 words for the month, which is not a bad number in itself. You can also enable the secondary goal for each challenge, which means that you could basically have a combined challenge where you do writing and editing. You track everything in one. You don't necessarily have to participate in both, but you can track both at the same time. So you can do editing, for example, and do hours or so, and for 30, for example, for 1 hour per day. You could also disable the goals altogether if you don't want there to be goals at all. Just, you and your friends get together and just hang out as a group and write together. And you can also, if you just want to keep it private, just you and your friends, you can add a password, and that'll be required to be able to get into the challenge later on. So I'm going to leave that out for now, and I'm going to go ahead and save this like this. And now we have a challenge. So you automatically join the challenge when you create it, so you're automatically part of it even if you're not participating. And to get into it, just click this. Okay, so once you're in the challenge, you have all these options here. By default, you will always see the statistics first, but there's also the about page that shows more information about the challenge, who created it. The goals are over here. You'll have the members here, and what I'm going to do here is add a few more members so you can kind of see what that looks like. And the members is really more about finding a way to see who's part of the challenge. And it doesn't really show any other data at this point, and that's kind of intentional. In the future, that may show other things. So we add a few more people in here just to show you what this looks like. If you go to the statistics, nothing will actually show up here until someone starts writing. The daily progress for any particular day will be empty unless you actually write something that day, and you will not show up on the monthly overall progress unless you have something written. So you can have members that show up on the monthly writing progress but not on the daily one, depending on how much they type. Then there is also the chat right here, which is more of a tool that you can use to communicate with those that are in the challenge. All these members right here, they can see what's happening in the chat here. So you just type, "Hello, how are you?" like this, and you can post it, and others will immediately see that showing up on their computers, and they can respond in kind. And if you're not actually on this screen, if you're, let's say you're over here, if someone says something, you'll get a little red notification showing here that there's a new message. Then you can go back and respond. This is still kind of experimental, like I'm pointed out here on the side, so it may be a little buggy, but for the most part it should be okay. It still needs some improvement, but it's a good little tool to use if you just want to chat throughout the day without using if you don't have other resources to use. Now the sprint is the most exciting part about the challenges. I think this is kind of where you can set up, schedule a sprint for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever it might be. And it gives you a way to all set a time you can come together and just sprint at one time. And there's two different kinds of sprints. There's a sprint with an editor where you can actually type in the browser itself, and then there's one where you would actually type in the program that you normally use, whether it's Word or Google Docs or Scrivener. You would just use those. And you can use either one. Now, so what I'm going to do is set up two here. We'll call this one editor. It's a sprint with an editor. And we'll just set it for 1 minute. And then we'll create one other one, just so you can see the difference. And we'll set this a few minutes in the future. I should point out here that the time itself here is not necessarily important. It's more of a guideline to, hey, this is about the time when we're going to have the sprint. You want to come join us. So it's kind of gives you an idea when things will happen. And it'll say you're scheduled to begin a minute ago. Oh, it's already in progress, potentially. Or scheduled to begin in a few minutes. Other thing you can do here is, see these little share icons here. You can actually share this challenge on social media. Every time a challenge is created, a unique short link is created that you can share for others to easily join you. They still have to be members of the online writing log to be able to see the challenge, but this will be the direct link into the challenge. So you have that here, and the same link can be shared through here to join a word sprint, and it automatically adds the time, and of course the link to the challenge right here. So what I'm going to do here is let's start with the editor here. I'm going to join the sprint here. We'll do the editor first. Let's do that one. And I'm going to join the sprint, and we will add a few other members to our sprint as well. So I can show you how it actually works when you have multiple people at the same time. The exciting part here is that when you're using the editor, it becomes almost like a live sprint. You'll be able to see on the side here how everyone else is doing. Every 10 seconds or so, it will update the total of the tally for each person typing, and you'll be able to see who's first, who's second, and so on. So let's go ahead and kick this off. And up here, you can actually stop the sprint if you want and restart it. You'll see total word counts here. So I'm going to start writing. This is a little test to count words. As you can see up here, the total word count is added right here. For what you're writing, this is the overall word count for everyone. As you can see now, this is updated here. So if you have other people writing, they may be writing as well at the same time as you're writing. And as they type, their totals are updated as well. And then you can see overall how you're doing compared to everyone else. And you'll be able to see, like for example right here. So now this updates 16 words, 15 words. So suddenly I'm not in the lead anymore. So I better kick it up a notch. So that kind of gives you an idea of how that works. So if you have 20 people and you do half an hour, or even 5, 10, it can be pretty exciting to see how that's going there. So, and then at the end of the challenge, of the sprint, rather, you'll get the option to pick a project that you want to save this to. And as it turns out, I forgot to set up a project for my user in this case, so this is blank. But usually you would pick one here, and then you have a file name that you can actually download what you're writing in here and save it to your desktop, so you can enter it into whatever editor you usually use. So I'm just going to type in test and save. So you will save the text file. As you can see, downloaded the text file. You can just open it up, and everything that you wrote on here will be in that text file. You can copy to your favorite editor. Okay, so let's go back to the other one here. And as you can see, now the one we just did is marked as complete. And what we'll do is we'll hop into this other one. And the same concept here with this other sprint. You join the sprint, everybody that wants to be there, and then when you're ready to go, you hit start. The difference here is, like I said, is that you actually don't use the editor. Now that we're down to the last 10 seconds, what's going to happen when we're at the end of this, you'll have the same pop-up come up, but instead of having automatically just save a text file, it's just going to ask you for a word count. So you would put in, if you wrote 500 words, you pick your project and you type in 500 words, and it will save that to whatever project you use. And actually, those will show up in your activity log as another entry. So that's kind of how it works. So, and obviously I closed this out too quickly, but let's say I wrote 500 words in a minute. Impossible, right? But just for demonstration purposes, that will then show up as each user updates their total. It will show up here, and you can see how everyone did during the sprint. So, so that's kind of how sprints work. And the other aspect of this is that you can, if you're a member of a challenge, anytime someone creates a sprint, you will create a notification up here. So I'll show you here. I'll clear this out, and we'll create a new sprint test. I'll just do that. So obviously it's going to create a notification for me, but it also creates a notification for all other members. So I can see that right here. Someone created a sprint. So if you're in another part of the application, you'll be able to see this. And it also will show you, give you a notification when a sprint has started. So again, so if you're in the middle of something and you just happen to see the red dot, you can get right to it. So that's kind of how challenges work, and sprints and everything else. And like I said, the idea here is really to get everyone together as a group, challenge each other, hold each other accountable, and just have a good time and get some writing done. And I hope that you'll be able to enjoy this and have some fun with it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the online writing log.